You don't have a reading problem, you have a dopamine problem. Be honest. When was the last time you sat down with a book and didn't feel the urge to check your phone after 2 pages? You used to get lost in stories. Hours would pass and you wouldn't even notice. Now, 10 minutes feels like mental friction. And here's the harsh truth. It's not a lack of discipline. Your brain has been rewired, quietly, chemically, invisibly. In 2026, your mind is being trained for 15-second sprints, not deep marathons. Every swipe, every notification, every short video delivers a tiny dopamine hit. Fast, easy, effortless. Over time, your brain adapts to speed. So when you open a book, something slow, linear, demanding, your mind labels it boring. Not because it is, but because your reward system is hungry for something louder. And unless you understand what's happening beneath the surface, your mental focus, productivity, and even your long-term self-development will slowly fragment. But here's the good news. If your brain was trained this way, it can be retrained. And in the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly why this invisible dopamine hunger is stealing your depth and how to take your cognitive power back. Stay quiet, stay sharp, stay in progress. Here's what most people misunderstand about dopamine. It's not the pleasure chemical, it's the seeking chemical. It's what drives curiosity, motivation, productivity, and long-term self-development. Your brain releases dopamine when it expects a reward, not when it gets one. That system evolved to help you hunt, learn, and persist. But today, your mindset is being trained in a very different environment, one that rewards speed, novelty, and constant stimulation. And that's where the hijack begins. Your digital environment quietly recalibrates that system. Every scroll, notification, short video, or headline delivers a fast dopamine spike with almost zero effort. Over time, your brain adapts. Dopamine receptors become less sensitive, which means you need more novelty to feel motivated. A book doesn't fail because it's boring. It fails because its reward is delayed. And a brain trained on instant gratification interprets delayed reward as discomfort, not growth. That's a brutal life lesson most people never notice. This is where the real cost shows up. That invisible dopamine hunger fragments your mental focus and erodes deep thinking. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for discipline, time management, and personal growth, needs uninterrupted attention to build strong neural connections. When attention is constantly broken, comprehension collapses. You become great at skimming, reacting, and consuming, but terrible at reflecting, synthesizing, and creating. Your intelligence isn't gone, it's scattered. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain isn't lazy, it's overtrained in the wrong direction. It has learned that effort without immediate reward isn't worth it. That affects reading, problem solving, and even how you plan your life. You might feel busy, but productivity stays shallow. You might chase motivation, but discipline feels heavier every year. And once you see this pattern, it raises an unavoidable question. If your brain was conditioned this way, can it be retrained? Here's the counterintuitive truth most people resist. To regain mental focus, you don't need more stimulation. You need less. Your brain can't recalibrate while it's constantly being fed novelty. That's why the dopamine reset starts with deliberate boredom, not extreme detoxes, not disappearing from the world. Just intentional pauses where your brain isn't entertained, distracted, or rewarded every few seconds. This is the foundation of real self-development. Think of it like this. Dopamine receptors are like volume knobs. When the noise is constant, sensitivity drops. Microdopamine fasts turn the volume down so your brain can hear subtle rewards again. Start small. 30 minutes without your phone, 1 hour without social media, a walk without podcasts, no multitasking. When the urge to check hits, and it will, notice it without reacting. That discomfort is your nervous system relearning discipline. At first, your mind will complain. It'll feel restless, impatient, even slightly anxious. That's normal. You're interrupting a loop your brain has relied on for quick relief. But here's the shift most people miss. Boredom isn't empty space, it's fertile ground. This is where reflection happens, where mindset stabilizes, where ideas connect. Many people report that after a few days, reading feels less heavy, thinking feels clearer, and productivity stops feeling forced. This isn't about punishing yourself. It's about retraining your reward system to appreciate slower, deeper wins. Over time, your brain starts associating calm with control, not deprivation. That's when books stop competing with your phone and start competing with distraction itself. But removing novelty alone isn't enough. To truly lock this change in, your brain needs a place where focus becomes the default. And that's where the next strategy comes in. Once novelty is reduced, your brain needs a new anchor. Focus doesn't return by willpower alone, it returns through association. Your mind learns by patterns, not promises. That's why high performers don't rely on motivation. They design environments that make discipline automatic. A deep work sanctuary isn't about aesthetics or perfection. It's about creating a clear psychological signal. This space exists for thinking, not reacting. This sanctuary starts with subtraction. Notifications off, tabs closed, phone out of reach, not face down, not silent, out of sight. Use simple tools if needed. Website blockers, focus timers, even a physical notebook instead of a screen. Over time, your brain stops scanning for stimulation in that environment. It relaxes into mental focus. This is how productivity shifts from forced effort to trained response. There's a powerful mindset shift here. When you return to the same focus space consistently, your brain begins to associate it with progress and clarity. Reading becomes easier. Writing flows faster. Decision-making sharpens. Even 20 minutes inside a sanctuary can outperform 2 distracted hours elsewhere. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing fewer things with full attention. That's a core life lesson most people never practice. At first, staying inside this space will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will search for exits. That's normal. Stay anyway. Each session strengthens the neural link between effort and reward. This is how discipline becomes identity. But focus alone doesn't rebuild habits. It needs momentum. And momentum comes from small, intentional wins, which brings us to the next step. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They try to restart reading with heroic expectations. 1 hour, total silence, full concentration. That's not discipline. That's ego. Your brain doesn't rebuild trust through pressure. It rebuilds through consistency. If reading feels heavy, shrink the target. 10 to 15 minutes per day inside your deep work sanctuary. That's it. Small commitments restore confidence faster than ambitious promises ever could. When you complete that small session, pause for a second. Notice the win. Let your brain register it. That subtle recognition creates a healthy dopamine loop. Effort followed by completion. This is how self-development actually works, not through intensity, but repetition. Over days, your mindset shifts from "I can't focus" to "I keep my word." And that identity shift fuels productivity far more than motivation ever will. Choose books that challenge but don't overwhelm. If you're rebuilding mental focus, start with engaging nonfiction, something like Atomic Habits by James Clear or Deep Work by Cal Newport. Or revisit a novel you loved years ago. The goal isn't intellectual status, it's neural retraining. Keep the barrier low. Consistency beats intensity. Always. That's a time management principle people ignore at their own cost. After 2 weeks, you'll notice something subtle. 15 minutes won't feel long anymore. You'll naturally extend to 20, then 30. That's momentum. That's discipline, quietly compounding. And here's the interesting part. As your ability to read improves, your ability to think improves with it. Which leads to something bigger than books. It leads to cognitive power itself. Reclaiming your focus from this invisible dopamine hunger isn't really about books. Books are just the symptom. What you're actually recovering is cognitive power. The ability to stay with a thought long enough to transform it into insight. Deep focus is the backbone of personal growth, sound decision-making, and long-term productivity. Without it, life becomes reactive. With it, life becomes intentional. And that difference quietly determines who moves forward and who stays stuck. When your attention stabilizes, something interesting happens. Your thinking slows down in a good way. You start connecting ideas instead of chasing them. Creativity deepens. Problem-solving becomes strategic instead of frantic. This is how high performers protect their mindset. They don't consume more, they consume better. They manage their digital diet the same way athletes manage nutrition. Not perfectly, but consciously. That's how you learn how to live better without burning out. This is where many people realize the deeper issue. Distraction isn't stealing time, it's stealing direction. You can be busy all day and still avoid meaningful progress. That's why rebuilding focus often reveals hidden chaos in your week, your priorities, your energy. If that feels familiar, you're not broken, you're overloaded. And this is exactly where systems matter more than motivation. Structure beats willpower every time. That's why tools that reorganize attention, energy, and decision-making become essential at this stage. Many people try to fix focus without fixing structure. And that's a losing game. If you've ever felt mentally hungover, scattered before the day even starts, there's a reason for that. And there's a way out. But before that path becomes clear, there's one final layer most people overlook: the biology that supports focus in the first place. Here's a layer most productivity conversations completely ignore. Focus isn't just psychological, it's biological. Your brain's ability to sustain attention depends on sleep quality, metabolic stability, and stress regulation. Chronic sleep debt, blood sugar spikes, and constant cortisol quietly sabotage mental focus before discipline even gets a chance. That's why some people do everything right mentally and still feel foggy. Their system isn't supported. Start with sleep, not perfection, consistency. Fixed wake-up times, stabilized circadian rhythms, and dopamine signaling. Add morning light exposure and reduce late-night screen use to protect melatonin. Nutrition matters too. Protein at breakfast supports dopamine synthesis, while ultra-processed carbs spike and crash attention. Hydration is boring advice and still undefeated. A dehydrated brain struggles to sustain focus, no matter how strong your mindset is. Movement is another overlooked lever. You don't need extreme workouts. A daily walk, light strength training, or mobility work increases BDNF, a protein linked to learning, memory, and personal growth. This is why ideas often appear while walking, not scrolling. Your nervous system regulates through movement. Stillness trains focus, movement protects it. Both matter for long-term productivity and time management. Finally, stress hygiene, not stress elimination, stress literacy. Your brain can't enter deep focus while it feels unsafe. Short breathing resets, journaling before work sessions, or even 5 minutes of silence recalibrate the nervous system. This is where discipline stops feeling like force and starts feeling like alignment. Stay quiet, stay sharp, stay in progress, because focus isn't something you find, it's something you protect. Now comes the part most people skip: action. Understanding dopamine means nothing if you keep feeding the same patterns. So let me ask you something honestly. What are you going to protect starting today? Your mornings? Your reading time? Your phone-free focus blocks? One small decision, repeated daily, is enough to reverse years of mental fragmentation. Discipline isn't dramatic, it's quiet, and that's why it works. If this video hit close to home, don't just nod along, apply it. Try one microdopamine fast today. Create your deep work sanctuary. Read for 15 minutes. Not to impress anyone, but to rebuild trust with your own mind. This is how self-development becomes real. This is how productivity stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like control. And if you want a full system to reset your attention, reorganize your week, and escape that constant mental overload, the link in the pinned comment will show you exactly how to do that. And before you go, there's something important you shouldn't ignore. Rebuilding focus is powerful, but many people still stay stuck because they're carrying guilt, self-judgment, and mental loops that quietly sabotage discipline. That's exactly why you need to watch the next video on your screen: the psychology of people who can't forgive themselves and how it traps the brain. Because it's not enough to train your focus, you also have to free your mind. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep upgrading your mindset, one idea at a time.